And with me here I have Mr. Jack Taylor. Are you from Collierville?
No, I grew up in Jackson, Tennessee. Been in Memphis since 1947.
1947. So you, tell me again where you grew up?
In Jackson, Tennessee.
Jackson, Tennessee.
I married a girl while I was in the Navy from Los Angeles. She grew up in LA. And I brought her back to Jackson, and she thought she'd gone to the end of the world. So,
I bet she did.
So we moved to Memphis and been in Memphis for years.
Well, let's talk about that. So you met her while you were in the service. So how did that come about?
Well, it was an odd experience. I was on the aircraft carrier. After we got through at Saipan, Tini, and Guam, Peleliu, we went down to Espiritu Santos for some resupply and some minor repairs. I had a brother that was stationed there in the Navy, and he was an aviation machinist mate there. And while we were in port, I went and looked him up. And he had a young man working with him they were buddies with each other. And I met him, and then we went back to sea, and we took a kamikaze at Luzon, and we came back to the States for repairs, and we came into Terminal Island. And this young man I met that was working with Bill was transferred to Terminal Island. He found out we was in, invited me up to the house for dinner one night, and I met his sister.
Oh, wow. Small world, right?
Met her on the second day of April, gave her an engagement ring the 13th of April, went back to sea the 27th
Wait,
of
11
April.
days later you gave her an engagement
right.
ring?
Went back to sea the 27th of April, and we operated off the coast of Japan while they were shelling the coastline, getting ready for the invasion. And we got through up there, that operation. We came back into San Francisco. They had signed the treaty and the war was over. And we came back into San Francisco, and Lorraine came up from Los Angeles to San Francisco. We got back to the 19th of October, and we got married the 23rd of October.
That's amazing.
Really,
so her name is Lorraine?
Right.
Is she still with us?
No, she died about 2.5 years ago.
Oh, my condolences.
We didn't get but 67.5 years in on a marriage that wasn't supposed to last.
Well, congratulations. All right, if I did the math in my head real quick, you guys had actually been together maybe, what, 25 days before you got married or something. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, congratulations, and that's a wonderful story. So let's rewind a little bit. So you're a young man in Jackson, Tennessee, and the war has begun. Now, did you enlist or were you drafted?
I enlisted. I went in when I was 17. And there's a little history behind that. My dad was in the retail grocery business. In 1938, the railroad shops and stuff closed up in Jackson. He moved his store to Union City, Tennessee. And we kind of commuted back and forth and everything. I would date on Friday night till about 10 o'clock, and they'd take me to the train station. I'd ride the train to Union City and work on all day Saturday and spend Sunday with my dad up there, and then come back to Jackson. Well, early part of 43, I guess it was, he had a real bad case of flu and everything. I had to go to Union City and run the store. So I missed most of my last half of the senior year. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to pass, so I decided I didn't want to wait till 18 and get drafted, and I wanted to go in the Navy. So I talked to the principal about it, and he said, Jack, if you go in the Navy, you can get 2.5 credits of military science, and it'll graduate you. Oh, so that's what I did.
And what year was that you joined the Navy?
1943.
Uh-huh.
And
so why did you choose the Navy?
Well, my brother was in the Navy, and I knew more about the Navy, and I didn't want to live in foxholes and stuff in the Army. So
that's why I joined the Navy, too.
so that's what I did.
What was your rate, or what was your job in the Navy?
I was an aviation storekeeper.
Aviation storekeeper, so airplane parts, that kind of thing?
I originally started out, and this is the thing I think about a lot today, with the kids and the computers, and the little kids that run around with computers and all that stuff. When I went in the Navy in 1943, there was probably 70, 75 guys in the boot camp company. 3 of us knew how to type on a typewriter.
Right.
And that's a lot of difference with the kids now.
Absolutely.
Anyway, since I knew how to type, they sent me to a squadron, an air squadron in Alameda to be flight yeoman.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the desk job, and they had a job opened up for aviation storekeeper, so I struck for that. And
so you volunteered for the Navy. How did your mom and dad and how did the rest of your family feel about that?
Well, they, like all family, they didn't want me to go, but they, like me, didn't want me to get drafted, so they felt maybe that's the best thing to do. And this way, I graduated from high school. Anyway,
yeah, good for you. That's a smart way to do it. So you went to boot camp. Where did you go to boot camp?
Well, when I enlisted in Jackson, they said they'll send you to Memphis, you'll be sworn in. They'll send you to Great Lakes to boot camp, and then they'll send you back to Millington, and they want all Tennessee boys there. But I said, well, that's fine with me. So I came to Memphis, was sworn in. They put me on a train for San Diego, and I went through boot camp in San Diego.
That's where I went through boot camp.
So,
well, that's interesting. So your first was your first ship duty the U.S. Kitchen Bay? Did I say that right?
No, I went to, my first duty was a squadron VC-65, an air squadron. We had 25 fighter planes, 12 torpedo planes. And I trained with them all over California, different places. And then we went aboard what was then the little Midway. The big Midway had gotten sunk, and they named one of the little Jeep carriers the Midway. And went aboard with them.
And the Independence class characters, do you recall?
Well, these were small carriers.
The small ones, right.
And
the carrier you ended up on, was that the Essex class, the larger carriers?
No, all of them that I was on was escort carriers.
Right.
Anyway, we did a shakedown cruise to Hawaii and back on the Midway, and they transferred me to another squadron, VC-5, back down in San Diego. So I went back and joined VC-5. We went aboard then, we went aboard to Kitchen Bay. And an interesting story later on, they always said it's bad luck to change the name of a ship. And when they built the big new Midway, they changed the name of the little Midway to the St. Lo. And we lost the St. Lo at the Battle of Lady Gulf. So.
Wow. Right. So let's fast forward. So now you're stationed on the Kitchen Bay, which was CVE 71. You mentioned.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so you did the shakedown cruise, and then did they deploy you to the Pacific?
Yeah, we went on the Kitchen Bay. We went out escorting troops. We escorted them while they were moving them from one place of.
In the Pacific or?
Pacific. All mine was in the Pacific.
Right.
We went to Hawaii, and then Hawaii went out to little island off the coast of New Guinea, I think it was, called Manus. And that was kind of a gathering area for all the troops to come in. They were getting ready. We went in, the first place we went into was Saipan. And we did the air carriage for the landings on Saipan, and then we did Tinian, they did Guam, and then we did Peleliu and Anguar. Then we went down to Espirito, and then we came back and did Ulithi, and then we escorted the troops into the Philippines, and with MacArthur when they did the landings at Lady. And
so you were right there. That's amazing. So I'm interested to know some about what it was like in the heat of battle on the carrier. I've heard you mention Saipan, Luzon. I mean, those were amazing battles. What was that experience like? Was your ship under attack? I know that Lafayette Gulf, I think, was some of the first kamikaze attacks. And you mentioned earlier that your ship got hit by a kamikaze.
Well, in Saipan and Tinian and them, they hadn't gone into the kamikaze stage. Like, I think in Lady was the first time they really used them with as much force as they did. But we were involved what they call the turkey shoot. The Japanese sent on everything they could on.
Mariana Strait turkey shoot, is that right?
Yeah, right. They sent everything they could out to try to stop us there and everything, and we knocked so many out of their planes out and everything. It almost decimated their Air Force, and they were never a real big Air Force after that.
That's right. So where was your battle station?
I had what they call an aviation ready issue room right on the hangar deck. We had parts that they needed them real quick. We got them for them, everything. And then my battle station was next to one of the hatchways. And what I was supposed to do if I had a gas fire on a plane, a crash or something, a gas fire, I would dump powder into this funnel and it mixed with the water to make foam to cover the fire with. I think so.
Did you ever have an occasion to do that?
At the same time, I was supposed to keep the aviation ready issue room running and ready when they needed parts. So.
Right. So did your ship took damage though?
When we were operating off of Lady, Halsey took all our firepower, the cruisers and battle wagons, and went looking for the big Japanese carriers. Left us there to cover the landings at Lady. I think when all our ships went out and everything, the Japanese fleet came in behind us and bottled us up in the Lady Gulf. And the 11 ships that involved, we had, I think it was 5 carriers and 6 destroyer DEs. And we had the largest guns we had in the whole ship, the whole group, was 5-inch guns. The Japanese are shooting us with 18-inch shells and stuff. Sometimes as far out as 23 miles, and we couldn't reach them.
No, not with a 5-inch gun. No.
But we owe our lives, you might say, to 3, especially 3 destroyers that really saved our necks. They did suicide runs and everything else against battle wagons and cruisers. And they had us going with the wind some, trying to stay out of their range, and we couldn't land and take off. And we had pilots that made runs against them with no ammunition whatsoever, just to make them divert. But
why didn't they have ammunition? They had already expended it?
Well, they had expended it on their first runs, and they came back and they couldn't land, so they went back and just made runs at them to see if they divert them, keep us off of it.
They couldn't land because you were with the wind.
Right.
As opposed to against the wind.
Right.
So I imagine, did they come back pretty shot up?
Well, we didn't lose too many planes. I don't think we lost maybe 1 or 2 planes. We may have had 1 or 2 set down in the water that ran out of fuel before they got back in. But during the battle, that's when they started, I guess, with their first kamikazes. Because I'm standing in the hatchway on the port side of the ship watching shells hitting the water, and these 18-inch shells had dye markers in them, yellow, red, and green dye markers. And I was watching those shells hitting the water. And they started firing the plane on the starboard side. I started walking across the hangar deck to see what they were shooting at and everything, and I got about 50, 60 feet away from the hatch, and a kamikaze hit the catwalk right above that hatchway.
You're kidding.
And blew up, and the blast knocked me down, but fortunately I didn't get hit with anything. So,
man, you literally you dodged a bullet on that. Well, not literally.
Because if I had been a few seconds later getting away from me, I probably wouldn't be here.
Wow.
But I didn't get hurt, thank goodness.